Welcome to the Royal Pavilion, a spectacular Indian palace built at the heart of Brighton. The construction of the Royal Pavilion began in 1787 for the purpose of building a seaside retreat for King George IV. For the upcoming 35 years, during which George became Prince Regent and then King George commissioned the development of the building to an eccentric Indian palace. Thanks to its large space, the pavilion was used for a myriad of purposes throughout history, from tea rooms to baby contests or even flea circuses. This monument is commonly known for its Indian exterior and Chinese interior. Even though George never visited Asia, he was fascinated by the fantastical visions of both cultures. You're currently standing in the pavilion's garden, where you can look up and appreciate the beauty of complex domes, towers, and minarets built in Indo-Saracenic style. And as you make your way inside, you'll notice the Chinese touches in the interior design. The harmonious mix between the Indian exterior design and the Chinese interior design is just one of the many interesting things about the pavilion. Let's come inside and explore the different aspects of the Royal Pavilion of Brighton.
The banqueting room is furnished with many Chinese art pieces, Chinese-inspired decor, and Chinese symbols such as the dragon, lotus flower, the golden Chinese-inspired clock and barometer, the motifs, and the paintings. They are placed around the room, giving a sense of exotic extravagance, recreating a distant world. Upon entering, your eyes are immediately drawn to the 45-foot-high domed ceiling, representing the eastern sky. Underneath, you'll notice the canopy of plantain leaves, some being three-dimensional. A silvered dragon underneath the ceiling carries in its claws the immense 30-foot-high chandelier in the center of the room, surrounded by other smaller but equally elegant chandeliers. Below, 6 smaller dragons breathed fire into the lotus shades until 1864, where they were converted to gas lamps. The room was decorated in 1897 by Robert Jones, credited for most of the interior design of the building. This was where George IV hosted feasts and dinners lasting for hours that included dozens of courses, with several dishes being served at once. The banqueting room was converted to a hospital ward for Indian soldiers during World War I.
As you leave the banqueting room and enter the room beside it, you will enter a less extravagant room which we call the banqueting room gallery. Located at the initial location of the lodging house which George wanted to renovate, this room was where George's guests would retreat to after dinner to play cards and enjoy drinks. The room's calm and reflective feeling radiates from the most delicate objects, the embroidered Chinese vases, placed in 4 corners of the room, delicately ornamented with popular Chinese motifs including snakes, dragonflies, and chrysanthemums. These vases are fantastical and imaginative objects. As you leave the banqueting room gallery, re-enter the banqueting room and use the opposite door. A large space that is the Great Kitchen will open up to you, and here lays our main focus. The Great Kitchen was completed in 1818 during the reconstruction of the pavilion. George IV's adventurous architectural style had a groundbreaking vision for his kitchen. With an insatiable desire to please his noble guests, George took the decision in installing newly invented facilities in his kitchen, such as steam heating technology and a constant supply of water pumped from a nearby well. Placed purposefully near the banqueting room, the Great Kitchen was easily accessible for guests to come in and cherish the meticulously designed details of the room. The Great Kitchen was, of course, not without its own taste of the Orient. 4 cast iron columns ornamented with painted copper palm leaves support the ceiling.
The room you're currently in is the music room, where George IV held concerts and balls. Feel free to have a seat while you listen. Music was one of George's many passions. He knew how to play instruments such as the cello and the pianoforte and liked to sing. He usually employed his own private band with up to 40 or more musicians. The band provided music during dinner and then performed from 9 o'clock until midnight, entertaining George's guests with works of Beethoven and Handel or with Italian opera. In 1823, Gioacchino Rossini, an Italian composer, performed several of his works on the piano. Decorated by Frederick Grace, the music room matches the banqueting room in size, positioning in the pavilion, and with a recurring Chinese theme. The room is gifted with a color scheme of blue, red, and gold, and the walls are decorated with red and gold canvases, along with the painted and carved dragons. 9 lotus-shaped chandeliers light up the extravagant room, and 6 big pagodas built in the 19th century and adorned with gilded bells, dolphins and dogs, snake-entwined arrowheads, and winged dragons are spaced out in the music room. The organ that you'll see on the north wall was built in 1822 in order to replace the original that you can now find at Buckingham Palace. When the pavilion became a hospital in World War I, the concert and performances held in the music room helped improve morale among patients. The room suffered from a short string of disasters. In 1975, it was heavily damaged by a fire and underwent 11 years of restoration. Shortly after, in 1987, a storm dislodged a stone which fell through the newly restored ceiling and onto the new reproduction of the original Axminster carpet. The whole room has since been restored.
Next to the music room lays a more modest room that is the music room gallery. With the same purpose as the banqueting room gallery, the music room gallery aims to get George's guests to find stillness after the grandeur of the music room beside it. The room would usually host small concerts and with the carpet being removed for dance recitals. You might be able to sense George's fascinations for faraway lands by studying your surroundings. Right in front of the mirror is a pair of console tables in a Chinese style made by Adam Weisweiler in Paris. As you can see, George's interest in exotic interiors is very evident in his choice of decoration for his residence.
This small but state-of-the-art room lies at the heart of the Royal Pavilion. The Grand Saloon was a reception room where important visitors were received by the master of the house. Characterized by its domed ceiling and circular shape, the saloon was decorated in Chinese style by Robert Jones with Chinese wallpaper with the leaf and flower pattern and with the astounding Kailin clock embellished with Asian porcelain and with turquoise Kailins, a mythical creature at each side of it. The clock was restored to the chimney piece for the room, but the actual fireplace has since been removed and can be found at Buckingham Palace. Designed by John Nash, the saloon was originally decorated with neoclassical paintings by Biagio Rebecca, who also painted the open sky on the ceiling above. 2 phoenixes, known as the imperial bird during Georgian times, decorate the apses. On the floor is a reproduction of the original Axminster carpet made in 1823. Its design is of a central sunflower in a yellow star on a blue and white wavy ground with 3 borders. The sunflower is one of the main motifs that you will find on other objects in the room. With the whole of the pavilion transformed into a hospital during World War I, many rooms such as this one became hospital wards. The saloon marks the end of this audio guide. Thank you for joining us on this adventure through history, and we hope to see you back soon. If you have any questions about any of the rooms, please don't hesitate to ask the staff.